Today you're getting assigned the cell model project, so I just want to go over that. Basically, you're going to be making a model of a plant or an animal cell. So you get to be as creative as you want with this. So the requirements are very simple. Any kind of a model of a plant or an animal cell, and you have to make sure that the labels, that you have a key with it that labels the organelles and then gives me the functions of the organelles in your own words. Okay? So let's take a look at the rubric. So if you click on the rubric doc, and so the top of the rubric doc are some instructions, basically just telling you that what I just said, that you're making a model, and to be creative, to have fun with it. I think this is one of the most fun projects of the year for students. So right off the bat, you can see right next to the instructions, there's a picture of a Lego cell model. Sometimes people that have extra Legos around decide to do that. Sometimes you could put little flags to label the organelles, but you would also still need some kind of a sheet attached or with that model that would describe the organelles in your own words. Do not copy and paste. Do not use language that's above you. Nice and simple. Okay, the nucleus controls the cell because it controls protein synthesis. The mitochondria takes in oxygen and glucose and makes cellular energy for the cell. The endoplasmic reticulum is responsible for receiving lipids and proteins, packaging them for export from the cell. Nice, simple definitions in 8th grade language in your own words. Okay, let's take a look at the middle. There's a table there for how you're going to get graded. You need to pay attention to this while you're making your model. The goal whenever you're given a rubric is to always have you follow the rubric and get 100, because you're looking at everything you're going to get graded on. So heading is 5 points. So on your key, if you don't have a name, a date, a period, my name as your teacher spelled correctly, you're going to lose 5 points. Okay. In your model, you must include all of the common organelles because those are the common ones between both plant and animal cells. In addition to that, if you make the animal cell model, you have to include the lysosome and centriole. If you make the plant cell, you include all the common organelles. In addition, the cell wall, the large vacuole, and the chloroplast have to be represented. Okay? That's worth 44 points. Creativity and environmental awareness. I'll fix that. Okay? So do not buy styrofoam. There are models out there that show like a styrofoam ball. Do not buy any styrofoam. If you give me a styrofoam ball bought from the store to make your model, I'm going to take off all 26 points because that's not environmentally friendly. Okay? I don't care how good your model is. If you use styrofoam, it's because you have pieces of styrofoam laying around your house. It's because you just bought a brand new TV and it came packed with some styrofoam and you're using that. If you use bubble wrap, it's because you had a package that came delivered and there was bubble wrap inside. I don't want you buying things that are going to get thrown away and enter a landfill and be environmentally unfriendly. So be very conscious of that. Okay, there are some models. I even provided some examples. One of them shows you using a plastic tray, an old plastic tray. Don't go out and buy a plastic tray to make that model. If you have an old plastic tray, use that. What if you don't have an old plastic tray? Well, use a piece of cardboard then, or use something else you have laying around the house. I want this to be fun. I want it to be easy. I want it to achieve its goal, which is to get you to understand the organelles in another way. By making a model will be helpful in that. Okay, food is fun. I have that in there, and I'll talk about that in a minute. A lot of people choose food ideas. So, organization. The project's neat, well organized, includes a key with identification and descriptions of the organelles, and it is spelled correctly and has good grammar. So, let's go to the cell model project ideas at the bottom of the rubric, and right to the right, you can see a picture of a cell cake. That's a cake. Food is fun. This is the most popular project. If you all do a cake, that's plenty creative for me. And as long as you give me a rubric and identify the organelles, you'll get 100. Okay? I want to give you 100. Let me give you 100. If you give me a cake and you give me no key to identify anything, you lose the 26 points. So it's going to be a shame if you give me this picture, this nice cake without the key, because I know you have worked very, very hard on it. But your rubric tells you you're going to lose 25 points, which means you'll have a 75 with a beautiful cake with no key. So please, that's a very, very important part of the project. Okay, there's a link for making a cake. Do you have to make it exactly like that? No, be creative, but there's an idea for you with a link. Jello is one that students have done in the past. They put things in the Jello. I will say that sometimes students have a hard time getting the Jello to firm up, so be wary of that. I don't know why they have that problem. I haven't made the Jello model myself, but be aware of that when you choose your model. I have 2 links on using recycled materials. If you don't have the materials they're showing in the video, that's fine. Be creative and use what you have. As long as you give me a key, it's going to work out fine. And then there's one more link with different cell ideas. And if you look at the pictures I provided, there's one that's using cardboard and poster board. There's one that's using modeling clay. The one on the left at the bottom looks like it's using different pieces of food. Looks like a bread bowl with a grapefruit and a cherry and some cookies and whatever kind of food they had laying around the house. We had sometimes someone did bread with vegetables inside. They cut like a loaf of bread and they put vegetables in the quarter of the loaf. So you can really do whatever you want. Just make sure it looks like it took you some time to do, and you didn't just rush it and throw it together, because if it looks like that, we'll have to take off points for neatness or for creativity. But I really am looking to give everyone 100 on this. Are there any questions on that so far? All right, let's take a quick look at how you're going to submit it. So please go back to the Cell Model Project instructions and click on Cell Model Submission. This is a Google slide format. So you're going to notice that the first slide is the rubric. Notice there are boxes in yellow. You are going to complete a self-assessment of your project. I'm hoping that you meet all of the criteria for all of the categories, and you will give yourself full credit, and that your total grade at the top will be 100. If you're looking at the rubric as you're looking at your model and you're saying things like, oh my God, look, I forgot to do the key. Well, then do the key and resubmit it, right? That's why the rubric's there for you. It's kind of like a checklist for you to make sure you meet all the criteria. Go to the second slide, please. Here's where you're going to insert a picture of your cell model. Make sure you are in the picture with your project. I want to know that it's yours, that you didn't just take one off the internet and pop it in here. I'll know that if you are in the picture with your cake. Go to the last slide, please. This is where you're going to insert your key. So make sure your key is in here, and make sure that you also include the functions of the organelle. Students miss that a lot. They say, okay, jelly bean mitochondria, Reese's peanut butter cup nucleus, and then they don't tell me what it does. The function is so important to show me you understand what the organelles do. Any questions on this project? Okay, so I think that's it. I think you're all set. I can't wait to see what kind of work you all do.